Okay, cool. Is that us? Are we
That's
live?
us. We're live.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to wait and see who is jumping on live with us tonight. So let us know if you're here. Let us know that you're watching. And if you are now watching this on replay, then hashtag replay. And you can ask any questions in the comments, either whether you're live or on replay, and we will try and answer them, all of them, as much as we can. I'm just going to find this so I can share it onto my page. I found it. Here we go. Okay, so let's share this. Here we go. We've just been talking about this new moon energy. Like, it's really powerful right now, isn't it, Michelle? We're just talking about everything that's coming up right now, and I think a lot of people are feeling it. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I've shared that to my page.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, if you're watching this live, you're watching this replay, let us know. Pop in the comments your questions, your ahas, anything that resonates for you with this, because what we're going to be talking tonight is all about the number one reason why writing your book is the best thing you can do for your business and also the world. So a nice big broad topic that we're jumping into. So we're going to give you kind of a few of the main points that we really feel about this, because the reason we're talking about this is not this weekend, but next weekend, Michelle and I are running our retreat. Oh my God. Finally, we're running our retreat in Sardinia next weekend, March 18th of March. And this is something that really jumped out at me about when we were talking about the retreat. And it is like, not only do you have this burning desire in you, you have this inspiration running through you about what you want to write and what you want to share and how you want to express it. But also, it's fundamentally so important, and it can do so much for your business and also the impact that it has in the world and in your life. So we wanted to break it down tonight. So if I don't know you, my name's Cara, and I am a coach, I am a writer, and this is Michelle, and she is a creative genius. And yeah, we're really, really excited to share with you what's going to come through for this evening. So yeah.
Hi, Sean.
So yeah, if anyone's watching, say hey.
Yes, so if anyone's watching, just say hello, ask any questions.
Yeah,
and
I think Len's here with us as well. So yeah, just let us know any questions that you have, and we will we'll try and answer them. Okay. So Michelle, I called you a creative genius because you are, but also you are a self-publishing expert. You have birthed two major writing projects, one this year and one last year. The one last year I was very fortunate to be part of, Rise of the Badass, and this year you did Boys Don't Cry. So this is something that I know you're really passionate about, which is why writing a book is so important.
Yeah.
So can you share that with us?
Okay. I've got this real urge to have the giggles, so apologies if I just suddenly get the giggles. But so yeah, I'm really passionate about giving people a voice, because I believe that so many of us have grown up in silence. We all have various experiences that we've gone through, some really dark times that we've emerged from, come out the other side, and we can actually use those experiences to really help other people. And I just find books are an incredibly powerful way to catalyze someone else's growth, someone else's healing. Because I'm sure most people, like I'm a massive bookworm, and books just really open up your mind, just open up a whole new world. So I think, we just need to be really aware of how powerful books can be. And in terms of having a book for your business, I mean, there's so many benefits to having a book for your business. One of which is really about positioning. Well, it's really about giving you the credibility, because the minute you become a published author, like people are all over you, it suddenly just really ups you in terms of your credibility. And if you're somebody who aspires to speak on stage, for example, then having a book is a really good way to make that happen. Of course, there is an element of PR. It's not like you can write this book and then you just expect people to come flocking. It doesn't work like that. It can work like that, but generally you will have to have some kind of strategy behind you. But also, from my experience with Boys Do Cry, I've been approached a few times to do interviews, and that's without any PR. So people will approach you. If your book really resonates with someone, people will approach you. So yeah, I've done a couple of interviews for that book, and I don't even want to, for that particular book, I don't even want to be positioned as an expert. I just pulled it together. It's the guys in the book. I kind of see them as being the ones that are really going to share that message with the world. So yeah, it really helps with your credibility. It really positions you as the expert in your field and gives you that authority status. And in terms of a business tool, if we think of a book as being like a lead magnet, a lead generator, there's going to be, for some people, your book is going to be the first point of contact. That's going to be their first step to working with you. If they're completely blown away by your book, they're more likely to then connect with you on social media, check out your website, see what other products and services are available. And if your book has been written really well, then you'll be naturally driving people to your website and social media anyway. So in terms of, it's an excellent business tool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And because I can totally see that. That's happened really naturally with some of the people who I follow. It's because the book, right, is like an affordable, accessible way for people to find out your message, your story, and what you want to share, the kind of support you can give. And I can think off the top of my head of 3 women who I've invested with because I started off reading their book. It really resonated, and I was like, yeah, I love this. And I was like, and it was exactly that, Michelle. I was like on the website, like, how can I find out more? How can I find out more? And it does naturally drive people, and it doesn't feel like a kind of sometimes, and I guess we can all resonate with this, and let us know if you resonate with this, guys, in the comments. But sometimes when you talk about having a funnel, it can all feel a bit like heavy and a bit kind of contrived, maybe. And you know, having a book is like, it feels it's quite an accessible way for people to find you, and then naturally that progression is going to happen, right, Michelle? Like people are naturally going to go, yeah, I want to know more. I want to go on your website. Exactly. I want to find out what course you're running, and it feels like you know them, because if you know this, right? If you read a book, you go on a journey, you have an experience while you're reading that book, and that connection, right? That connection that you get with the person that wrote that book, you feel that, don't you? And that's why some people, it's almost indescribable, like how that connection happens between the reader and the writer, right? And then that connection is something that's so engaging for the person who's read the book, and they're just like, yes, I need to know more. I want to find out more. I want to go into more detail. Yeah.
Exactly. I just had a thought. What was I going to say then? I can't even remember. It'll come back to me. It'll come back.
It will come back, definitely. So people, you said there, you know, and I think that's true in terms of when you write that book, you position yourself as an expert in that area, in that topic. And you mentioned, obviously, it can happen that, you know, you said with the Boys Do Cry project, you weren't wanting to be the expert there, but naturally people have been drawn to you to talk more about that. So I think that when you kind of embark on this journey of writing your book, you've got this whole world opening up to you on the other side of it. And it's often, right, the first step. Like, how do I make that first step? Is that something we want to talk about just now, Michelle, or do you want to carry on sharing a bit more about why having a book is really good for your business? Because I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Okay. I just remembered what I wanted to talk about. So a lot of people.
Yeah, I love when that happens. Yeah.
I just blame it on the moon. Blame everything on the moon. So quite often people consider a book as being like a business card, but it's so much more than a business card, because if you think of how people use business cards, so when you go to a networking event and you leave with a pile of business cards, what do you end up doing with them? Just kind of like dumping them somewhere. You don't actually do anything with them, and you certainly don't want people to just put your book down and not read it. So first of all, if you're someone that kind of sees it as a business card, then just change your mindset around that, because it's so much more. And another reservation that people have around writing a book is that it does take a lot of time. You do have to invest a lot of energy, especially if you're writing about something that's quite, draining, quite challenging. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they think, well, I'm not going to be making much money for the book anyway. You don't get a lot of royalties unless you're shifting thousands of copies. But the money really comes off the back of the book. Like if you're using your book as a tool that is going to lead to something else. So off the back of your book, you could create workshops. You could create new programs. You could, like I've mentioned before, you can use it to get speaking engagements. Like the book is the tool to really open up all the offerings and services, and that is where you end up making the money. So I would just say, like, if you have a book in you, and especially if you have a business as well, definitely have a book for your business, because you can create so much from that book for your business.
I love that. I think that's so true, and it's like the return on investment, right? It's like you put the energy and the time into creating the book, just like you would putting the program together, just like what you would putting the website on, just like what you would creating the funnel. It's that trust that you're putting the energy and the time in now, and that's going to pay off. And exactly. I think what's really exciting is often, and also I would say, if you're watching this and you don't have a business but you have a book in you, then just be really open to where that book can take you, right? Because I said there, Michelle, about like programs and ideas, collaborations, like that, so much will open up for you when you write that book, when you get that book done, because there will be people who want to collaborate with you. There will be projects that will notice what you're saying, what you're sharing. And like Michelle mentioned earlier, it might be more around the speaking. So, we're talking a lot with people right now who are really passionate, who are change makers, right? And this is the kind of people who are signing up for the retreat. They're people who are creating change in that, and in all many different areas. And for them, it's about, like, they've got this driving force in them to create change in something that they see. Maybe it's an injustice, maybe there's the story and experience they've been through that they want to share about. And for them, it's really about, getting that out there, getting that message out there. But what Michelle was saying is, and I think it's really important to kind of spend a bit of time looking at, is often there's so much fear around it. There's so much, like, kind of angst, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, so much involved with, like, what do I pick? How do I get started? What are people going to think when I write this? Who am I going to piss off? Like, there's just so much fear and procrastination that can come up, right, Michelle, around this?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been writing my book for 3 years for these reasons, because it's a very difficult book to write, but one that needs to be written. But yeah, I've had to really work through a lot of fears around, what will people think? Will it be good enough? Who's going to read it? All this kind of stuff. But you get to the point where your purpose is bigger than your fear. So if you think about, why are you writing your book? Like, what is it really about? If it's just about you, then maybe it's a book that doesn't need to be written, or maybe you just want to write it as a way of, like, therapy, I guess, self-therapy. But certainly for my book, it's part of, something much bigger, something that's much bigger than me. So I just kind of focus on that and make it less about me, because if you let fear get in the way, then the book won't be written, and then you're really doing a disservice to yourself and also to the people that really need your book.
Yeah, I think that is so true. And it's that thing of where you look at where your ego is playing its part in what you're doing, because you have to have, and this is where we differentiate between the small self, ego self, and your highest self, whatever you might refer to it as, in terms of, I would say, the capital S, a little less than capital S.
Yeah.
So, you know, the small s is, you know, dictating around the fear and the procrastination, but the capital S, the higher self is, you know, is saying this is something that needs to be done. This is something that's bigger than me. This is something that needs to come out and be expressed. And there is that, I think what the biggest fear for me is not doing it. Yeah, I can definitely be in procrastination and you know, and I can go around in circles about, you know, how I'm going to start writing it. But at the end of the day, a much bigger fear for me is not doing it. You know, how will I feel if I don't just get this out there? So would you say that's something that kind of
definitely. There's so many that they say that there's a book in everybody, and I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's something like only 1% of people that want to write a book actually write and publish the book. You know, that's like 99% of book ideas that people just take with them to their grave. But when you're lying on your deathbed and looking back on your life, you know, that could potentially be one of the regrets that you have, that you never, because your book is a legacy as well, especially if you're writing something that is you know, a transformational book, personal development book, a book that's there to help people. You know, you're leaving a legacy, because that book is going to be in existence way longer than you will be. So that is that's part of your legacy.
Oh, that is, I felt like a bit sick there. It's true, isn't it? That must be something that people really that would play out and play out and play out and play out. So the legacy thing's really important, like what you're leaving, and what you're creating in your lifetime and what you're leaving behind afterwards. So we were saying earlier about the fact that one of the things is like, how do I actually do it? How do I have enough time to do it? And one of the reasons why we got together in collaboration with this, because that's something that I identified. I was like, I need to take myself away, somewhere beautiful for a period of time, not too long. It needs to be, because that would be doable in my life for it to be like 2 or 3 weeks, you know, away, which I'm sure would be lovely, but that's not practical for me. Kind of short period of time away, somewhere really beautiful, where I'm in a supportive space to do this and to create this. And this is how this retreat was born, right? Because we realized this is something that a lot of people who have this story, that have this expression, that need to share their words, this is what's needed to get. I've done it as well. I've said, right, this day, you know, every week I'm going to cordon off time, and this will be my writing time. And that doesn't necessarily work for me, but knowing I've got a block of time dedicated for it,
exactly. And it's distraction-free time as well, where you can really unplug and focus on the writing.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, for people who are thinking, what do I write? Like, how do I choose? Like, if we're saying here, this is the number one thing that you can do to support your business and the world, people might be going, well, what do I write? Like, how do I get started? Where do I start? What would you say to that, Michelle?
I would say just grab a pen and notebook and just start doing a massive brain dump of all your thoughts and ideas. Ideally, like, think of it as more intuitive writing, I guess, free writing. Like, go off and do something that's going to really ground you and get you out of your head, and then just start writing. Like, you can even start with what can I write my book about, and just see what comes out. I think most of us, we kind of know the book that we really want to write, because it does keep nudging us. We do get called or pulled towards it, and we tend to ignore it. And those books tend to be the ones that we think are going to be really difficult, because we're going to be sharing a lot of our own personal journey and experiences. So also listen for those nudges as well. What is the thing that keeps cropping up that just, no matter what you do, it just will not go away? Because that's quite a key indication that that's the book you need to be writing. Or even more simply, if you have a business, why not let's just say you have a business and you already have an online program. Well, why not take that online program and turn it into a book? It doesn't mean that people are going to read your book and then never work with you. Quite often what happens, and I've done this with books as well, so I'm just trying to think of an example. Can't think of an example, but you know, a lot of people, they do create a book around the formula of their program, and you go through it, you've experienced something amazing from it, and then because of that, because you already know it works, then you're more likely to then want to work with that person. So that could be the type of book you can write as well.
I like that. I think that's really I think there are many programs that have done that will have done that. Yeah, I can totally see that. I'm just going to read the comments out, Michelle, for you. Okay. So Leslie was in earlier, and she was talking about that she's going to be developing a book from a show, which sounds really exciting. Sean was saying, are you going to develop material from the retreat? You can offer it to others. I want to do the retreat, but that's a big, expensive plane ride. That's something really good to all over, Sean. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea, isn't it? Thank you.
We can talk about that offline.
Sean, thank you. You've really inspired us there. That's great. And Sean also says, I was scared shitless to write, but Boys Do Cry made me want to elaborate and write the full story. And Andy was on as well. I don't know if he still is, but he was there in the comments. So yeah, I think there's some very good good ideas there.
Or we could go over to America, which is where Sean's from. We can run one there.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Totally up for that. Let's put that down on the list. So if anybody else is live, or anybody who is watching this replay, remember to tag us and ask away. Because we'd love to hear if this is something that you're interested in. Let's talk, Michelle, if we can. And I know we don't want to be here all night, as much as I'd love that. We could talk for ages, but by the impact that it has. So we're talking about impact on your business, which is really important, because so writing your book is an investment. It's an investment in your time and your energy. It is getting over a lot of your fears. And I would say, if that's if you've got fears and doubts coming up, have a chat with Michelle and I about the retreat, because having a supported space, so a space that's held for you, so that you can go through the process of writing, and whatever else comes up for you, that's what we're facilitating the space in many different ways, so that you can do that. You can have a chat with us about that. So say, you're doing this, you're getting over those fears, you're connecting more to your vision and why you want to do it. And for anybody that is coming on the retreat, check out your emails for the bonuses that we've done. The MP3, there's an MP3 guided meditation that helps you connect with your kind of what can I say? It helps you connect with the way you're going to feel writing the book, basically. So it's a connection for you. So that will be really supportive as well if you come on the retreat. So you're putting in this time, you're putting this energy, you're getting over your fears, you're writing your book. It's going to be such a great tool for your business, or for whatever may come of the projects that you want to get involved with. But we also want to talk the impact on the world, right? And we touched on Michelle, because she talked about the legacy piece. And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think we can get into this, like, well, who's going to want to read this? Who am I to speak about this? And actually, we've got to remember that so often what we write, we might not directly find out about it at the time, but it has a big impact on the way people feel and the way they then move through their lives, right? Because really all that we're doing with what we're writing, this is, sorry, from my perspective, I should say, is we're asking people to, you're asking the person that's reading your story to just dive deeper within, to get their answers from within. You're sharing your story and your experiences to give them maybe some strategies or some tools, or to give them, some, whatever it might be. But ultimately, anything to do with the personal development or spiritual development, you're asking people to go back deep within themselves. I've totally forgotten where I was going with this, Michelle. The impact that we're having, right? What we're writing. So we might not always be able to quantify that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think as part of our vision, and if you do sign up to the retreat, you get some pre-work, which I've put together this PDF,
Hold on, not just some pre-work, the best pre-work I have ever seen in my life. I'm not joking. Michelle said, "This is taking me a little bit longer to do this," and then I opened it up, and it was like this incredible body of work. I swear, like I'm blown away. Everything about it is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's so supportive as well. So when Michelle says this piece of, this bit of pre-work, it's way more, and it's, even if you just took a bit of that pre-work,
yeah,
you would be so set up for
yeah.
this retreat, definitely.
Yeah, I've basically it's just to help you really go through a lot of these thought processes and actually do the hard stuff before we can actually sit down and write. So it's all about laying the foundation so that the time at the retreat is dedicated writing time. So I feel like I've digressed again. Oh my God, what's going on in my brain today?
Anyway, impact. Can we hold that thought? Because there's a really good comment.
Okay.
Can I read it out?
Yeah.
I think this is really great. Beck says, "There's just so much to write about. I'm okay with my blog, but I get lost in what to write with regards to my book." And I think that's really good.
Yeah. Well, your blog could actually be the starting point. A lot of people actually turn their blog into a book. So if you've already got a lot of blog content, turn that into a book, and then you could maybe like one chapter per blog, and then just if you needed to, you could just expand on the chapter. So that would be a really, really good place to start.
So actually, if you've got a blog, you're in a really brilliant place, right? Because you've got lots of content you've put together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's finding all that through line.
Yeah.
That through line of bringing it all together. But having it like a topic, I think that's brilliant. Let us know, Beck, if that helps. And shout out and tell us if that's useful for you. But I think that's like quite a good place to be if you've got a blog.
Definitely.
You've probably got quite a body of work there, or certainly lots of ideas to work on. And that's something that I thought if I wasn't specifically writing a book, I'd want to use this writing retreat to focus on blog writing, because actually that takes, to have a big chunk of time to be able to sit and look at your work. And I think something else that we talked about, Michelle, was that, just having the time, but having the time to focus on what you're expressing, how you're expressing yourself, how you're showing up in the world. And your writing is such a big part of that, if that's, where you're drawn. Oh, Andy says, I started off with a blog.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
Awesome. And hey, Patrice is here. Hey, Patrice. Yeah, so I think then that if you have that kind of inspiration that's moving through you with what you're writing in your blog, you've got ideas there to put together.
Exactly. Exactly. So going back to what we said, we're talking about impact. And I think, we don't actually know the impact we're going to have, but if we hold it in our vision of the kind of impact we want, that can really help us move through the writing process, especially when we're coming up against resistance. Just reminding yourself why you're doing it, looking at the bigger picture, looking at the bigger vision, but also just knowing that we don't know how our words are going to impact somebody else. And that's the very reason to write, because even if just one person's life changed from reading your book, that's one person. And just think of the ripple. If you change one person's life, say a parent, then that's going to ripple out to their children and maybe their children's children. It's that small impact has a much bigger impact. And there's always going to be people, like, even if we think about some things like Facebook. So if you're posting things on Facebook and, we're often looking for likes and comments, but quite often I've found from experience, the people that are most impacted by your posts are the ones that never engage. But I've had people drop into my inbox asking me advice on things, or just thanking me because I've shared something that really resonated. So keep showing up and keep sharing and write that book, because there are going to be people who will need to read it and are going to be massively impacted by it. We just don't necessarily know how. That's just a really personal thing. Only we individually know how we are impacted by something.
I love that. Just as you were talking there, I thought I'm just going to share this to the group, and then I thought about sharing it to the event for the retreat, but I don't think I can share it to the event. So I'll work on that in a little bit, Michelle. I think what you said there was really spot on, and a lot of us who are moving around in this social media thing, you know, we do, you know, naturally our ego looks for validation, and likes and comments are such a way for us to get that validation. But what is probably a way deeper validation and way more kind of true, really way more authentic, is what you talked about there, when people actually drop into your inbox, or you meet somebody, which has happened to me, and I read this and it's like, wow, because at the time it was like tumbleweed. I was like, okay, put this out there, and you know, so that's really important to measure, to see how you want to measure it, and actually probably goes back to what we mentioned earlier on about what the most important thing to you about writing the book, you know, is that you get the book out so that it's something that does come out of you and it doesn't stay stuck.
Yeah,
in you.
Exactly.
And you end up getting to that point where you think, you know, at the end of your life, we talked about that, you know, and I think to be able to get it out and express it is really important. And if you are coming on the retreat, or if you are thinking about coming on the retreat, something that we're really kind of focused on is how you can connect with yourself. You know, we're going to be doing daily yoga, there's going to be meditation, and we've picked a very beautiful place to be on purpose, because for you to be able to connect with ease to yourself, and when I say so, I mean to your higher self, so that you can come more from that place rather than the ego place of fear. So that's really important for us, that you get that experience of finding that connection with yourself, so that you're feeling way more expansive when you write, basically, than, you know, I mean, you know, I've written stuff, you know, in very like confined spaces, like just let get it out, and that's all good. But to have a really expansive space is really cool.
Yeah, and it's really about having that focused time as well, because so many of us, we do, well, as I've said earlier, it's taken me 3 years so far to write my book, because it's one of those things you put off and put off and put off. But actually, if you can just spend a weekend having really focused time, you can get a big chunk of your book done, especially if you've done the prep work as well.
Definitely. Okay, so Michelle, before we wrap up, I'll just check in and see if anybody's got any questions they want to ask right now. Is there anything else that you want to add to what we've been talking about?
Just want to add that, yeah, come to the retreat. It's gorgeous. It's this beautiful converted chapel. Can't wait. It's got an indoor sauna. Like, just come for the sauna and to play on and to play on the baby grand piano. That's what really sold it for me. I was like, yeah, we need that place. It's the piano, and it's just in a really stunning location. I'm sure we're going to take a couple of walks, maybe go, depending on the weather, maybe pop to the coast, which isn't far. So it's going to be amazing.
Definitely. I'm just popping the link into the comments so that people can just go and have a little look. Yeah, it is a really beautiful place. The actual venue is stunning and really like got that mix of comfortable and kind of like old worldy charm. It's just all really lush. I'm just gonna read what Beck has put here. She said, that's quite a good idea, but I'm torn by quite a few subjects, such as my blog, which could be all about from self-hatred to wholeness, or channeling light language, predictive art, and connection to spirit. I feel so many people are doing this without realizing they are.
Okay, I would say it sounds like you've got at least 2 books there, and it's really choosing the one. So going with one first, and then the other thing can be the second book. And quite often when we get to book mapping, which is part of the prep work, a lot of the content that comes out through the mapping, you often find that there's enough for like 2 or 3 books. So it's really, and it's really coming down to making that choice and actually sticking to it. because it's so easy to get distracted or trying to convince yourself that actually maybe it's the other book I should be writing. But if you keep doing that, going backwards and forwards, neither will get written. So choose one, focus, and then you can do the other one.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. And I think that's the major procrastination pony time, isn't it? When you think, actually, because I've done this, actually I'm going to write about this instead, because this other thing is like way better for me to be writing about. But like what Michelle said earlier, you'll always come back to what is the most important thing for you to write right now. Like you'll always come back to that. Okay, so I popped the link, Beck. I hope that helps. Let us know. We'd love to know. And if you're watching this on replay, then ask us any questions as well. We'd love to hear from you and about them. I popped the link for the retreat in the comments. You can click on that. That'll take you onto the page. It explains everything about the retreat. It breaks down. We've got highlights of the days. Tells you about the type of accommodation. Tells you about you get to see some lovely pictures, and you can also check out my Instagram stories as well, because I've been sharing like lots of pictures, and we've been sharing lots on social media. Yes, and we also have, if you are wanting to come on the retreat but money might be a barrier, we don't want that to stop you. So you can have a chat with either Michelle or myself about the supported spaces that are available. You can get a good discount off the price. You know, if you feel that money is a barrier to coming. Anything else you want to add, Michelle?
I think that's it. Just
okay.
Come on the retreat. You've got
come on the retreat.
Why not? You'll get to spend the weekend with Cara and I. I mean, come on. What more could you want?
Yeah, this is honestly feels incredibly exciting. Very, very supportive, and it's the kind of space that's going to be yours, but also you're going to be part of the collective that are there on the retreat. So it's going to have that beautiful mix of time alone, reflection, writing, time with the group to connect, to kind of feel like, you know, because it is lovely to feel like you're having this experience with other people, and also just to be in a really beautiful space to do it, and have, like Michelle said, have no distractions. You know, that is key. You know, really, you could come out of this weekend and have written your book. Like that just blows my mind. So we'll be really, really excited to welcome you along. Let us know if you've got any questions. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.